Hello everyone, greetings from Inextricable Group United Kingdom. Let's watch another new user training video, how to use Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central ERP in your business operation in the organization. I'm sure this video will help you to enhance your knowledge on Business Central effectively. Happy watching!
We'll be talking about inventory management. What I'll be doing is basically inventory financially, that because we've already covered inventory SEM, which is part of the items, and then inventory logistics, which is part of warehouse. What I'll be covering in the session is basically inventory related to finance, everything related to landed cost, costing methods, cost breakdowns on so far. So quickly over of how inventory is computed is basically going into inventory setup within the inventory setup. Within the inventory setup, you can see actually how costs are being computed. So do you want the cost to be computed at to an item level, meaning regardless of where it is or regardless of the variant, it's actually giving us one cause? Or do you want to have a more comprehensive computation where it is considering higher application than the variant? So usually it's item location in Korea. The reason for that is, let's say a location is farther from the distribution center. So of course there are shipping charges that needs to be accounted for that. Hence, those rate costs should be charged to the inventory. So of course, the farther the warehouse, the higher the cost. So we actually recommend to always use item location in Maria. I'll be moving now and then going back to products. But in the product master or the item code, there's actually unique cost in here. So I'll focus on the hinge. These are purchase. So there are different costing method in Business Central, which we can accommodate by LAPO specific average of this standard. BIPO is basically first in, first out. The first cost that you put in the first cost people that you will be putting out. Typo, last in, first out, so the last cost that you put in the first cost that you be putting out. Specific is basically a costing method, which deals with serial numbers then, not numbers or batches. So if we are doing batch tracking or serial tracking, and then you want that specific cost to be the possible so that product, we will be putting specific. Average cost is when we actually average it out. So basically total inventory divide total quantity, that's it. And then it's moving average because there are probably fluctuation in dollar. Indirect cost, if you want to change to inventory, is on so far. Standard cost is basically putting up a standard unique cost. And then whatever variance to that standard will basically be put into a balance account, which is either an expense or a revenue for us. So if I wanted to check how the pass is computer, we can actually click unique cost. Then you can see here there are increases and decreases coming in from different entry types. Positive again, going back to the concept of positive adjustment, which are burdens from warehouse purchases, which are incoming consumptions. What's happening from production, sale are basically sale. So you can see basically the pass breakout from here. So let's focus more on the purchase item of things. So I'll click the quantity. And then in here, we have here purchase receipt. So you can see here there are actually cost actual. First actual is the recorded cost final into the system. So if I wanted to check whether how did I arrive with that course, you can see actually value entries. Then the system will actually tell you how did it arrived. So basically there's an invoice receipt for 1,000. And then there's an abandoned invoice for 1,000. So if I wanted to add more cause on top of that, so let's say during the course of shipment, There are actually incurred rate cost insurances, broke your rage, so on so far. So those items are capitalizable to the inventory. So hence our unique cost now will adjust. How will I do that in the system? There's a concept called item charges, wherein those are the component for us to land that cost. So item charge are freeds, which is allow once as miscellaneous restock we can add in, because this are actually system configurable setup. So I'll be using freed for this exercise. Let's say FedEx or whoever is the plate provider. Provide as an invoice and then bill us for 10 gigabytes. To shape the goods from the port going into our warehouse, that's a scenario. I'll be creating a purchase invoice. I don't know if we have FedEx better in here. Let me double check. So I'll just use Coolwood Technologies for this exercise. And then as you can see here, see this list cost is chargeable to the inventory. We use item charge to item. And then what is the component? So freight we can actually change the description to more relevant description. Freight charges for various BO. For squad BP, and then how much is the total freight charge? So in the system there's a functionality called 20 to assign. So what the system will do is basically we're going to get all the purchase orders. I'll just pick everything, then basically assigning all those items to all the scores to one product. So I'll use this. Which one is the new? I think is this one is the new one. I'll select this one. And then if there are more costs that we need, there are no more purchase that the freight provide their service, we can just select those items. So there's a functionality for us to assign. So there are different methods for us to assign those costs. Do we want it to be equally divided across all quantity? Do you want it by amount, meaning the higher the cost, the higher the landed cost? Is it by weight? The higher course the weight, the higher the landed cost. So it depends how we want to structure the landed costing. So for this exercise I'll be using amount, meaning the more price it gets, the more cost it gets charged. So you can see the system will suggest how it needs to be allocated. Usually this will equate to 1. And then this is the corresponding allocation to the product. I'll close this one. Type in the invoice number. Then post this red option. So once I post the transaction, what the system will do is basically, it's adjusting the inventory because I need to charge this 5,000 trade to the inventory, which I selected earlier. If I not double check the hinge, I'll go into product again. Then I wanted to check the purchase received. You can see here that the cost will actually increase. Quick one, let me validate. Posted purchase invoice. Process. Find entries. So you can see here there are 3 value entries, which we generated. So you can see here some of items have been adjusted already. Item 10 by 20, 331A and D335. So let's check that. Let's use joining modules. Clip for joining moyos. Clip this one. Then when we checked. So you can see here there's an initial purchasing invoice, which is the purchase price. The system charges 2,828 of that. That's why the inventory adjusted from regional 71.